Well, thanks a lot and good afternoon. I think the weather's cooperating. It's a little chilly, but there is some sun too. I'll tell you, I personally, again, would like to thank each and every one of you for coming out. And there's so many individuals, especially in organizations. Just thank you. My family, my mother and father, Clarence and Donna, both my sisters, Debbie and Ginger, are here. My brother-in-law, Larry. We've all had a real interest in this for years, and we're glad we can finally get this opened up so folks can come in and spend some time here and enjoy nature's beauty back here. And it's a wonderful place to rest for your final time here, and hopefully people can visit from here on out. My father, well, all of us, the Klodts, we come from kind of a long heritage too. We live on a century farm. My great grandfather purchased the first part of the farm here in Van Buren County in 1895, and like a lot of other people, we migrated from overseas, came up to New Orleans and up to Mississippi. So we've done some traveling too. But my dad always all he ever wanted to do was farm, and in 2 years he purchased a lot of different area farms. And I'll tell you what, I'm very lucky. I've done a lot of research on these graves and the individuals here, and trying to piece everything together. And I'm very lucky. We have all these abstracts. And what I have found, in my opinion, is a fascinating journey. A lot of this ground was originally homesteaded. It was purchased from the United States government. And I've always wondered, why is this called Richardson's Point? And that's always been a big question for a lot of people. Well, I didn't know. We've got some neighbors that are Richardsons that have been here a long time, but they're not related. We couldn't really tie everybody together. So I did a little digging, and with a lot of help from a lot of friends, things started clicking, and thank goodness for the internet, and I know how to Google, and things started coming together. I took her abstracts, and I just wrote down all the names and started do a little research. And I finally found an abstract that had probably a dozen Richardsons on it. They owned this ground all together. And the more I researched, the name Stewart came up quite a bit. And I could tie the Stewart family and the Richardson family together. The Richardson that stood out the most was Solomon. And Solomon, I found that he had purchased an 80-acre tract of ground and a 40-acre tract of ground, which actually is just straight south across the road from us. And Solomon was a bachelor when he purchased that ground. He built a huge log cabin in 1840 is when he homesteaded it. And this cabin was big, and he was a bachelor, and he didn't care. He let the whole neighborhood come in and use it. There were political events used there. He allowed the women to come in, and they had quilting bees here even. But Solomon had 10 or 11 brothers and sisters, and the more I delved into this and went through every abstract, more names started coming up. There was a George Richardson, who was Solomon's brother. Now, George, from what I can tell, more than likely owned this section of ground as we sit here. George, there was Shadrach Richardson, Montpelion Richardson. And then I delved in right south of an old homestead we've got. There were some folks by the name of Stewart, and it was Benjamin Franklin Stewart, and he had married a Polly Richardson Stewart. So those two that tied the two families together. Come to realize these families, there were several marriages between the groups. And as I researched more, and it kind of came in slowly, a lot of these farms, like I said, were homesteaded between 1840 and 1845. Come to find out, and I was good at it. Where is it? Anyway, I had it all copied out. But in 1842, there were a pair of traveling Mormons doing a little missionary work, and they were invited to stay at Polly and Benjamin Franklin Stewart's home. And I guess Polly was deathly ill. She had lung fever, which I'm sure was an older term for pneumonia or close to pneumonia. And they were, the gentlemen, the Mormons, asked if they could lay hands on her to see if they could heal her. And miraculously they did. And she was so excited, she jumped up, went and fixed them a meal, and she told them, she said, before you leave in the morning, and it must have been cold, she said, we are going to cut ice, and we are going to baptize me. And according to the story, now, and I got this from some family history of the Richardsons, Harris family, some of the people that knew of this, they said, if she survives the baptism in that ice water, we'll join the church. But they also said miracles do not equate into conversion. So apparently they did not convert. But Polly did join the Mormon church in 1842. And in 1844, her husband, Benjamin F. Stewart, he was baptized and he joined the church. So I thought, wow, that gives us something here. Kind of ties with everybody coming to Richardson's Point and camping those 2 miserable weeks in the first part of March of 1846. Now, where my wife and I live, there was a 40 acres that was owned by Otha and Salome Wells. Now, Salome was a sister to Benjamin Stewart. Come to find out, they were Mormon also. And the light bulb kind of went off. The folks were pretty much driven out of Nauvoo, and I always wondered, why did they stay here? Why did they choose this point? Well, more than likely, I'm sure they came here because they felt they had a safe place they could stay. There were folks that would help them. They needed food. They needed provisions to continue their trip. And of course, I can't really say this is what happened, but just little things. You find little blurbs here and there. I did find out that Benjamin and Polly, they left with the Vanguard group, Brigham Young's first group here, when they pulled camp in the second week of March. They went with them to Council Bluffs, and they stayed at the winter quarters. They continued on out west. Benjamin Franklin was handpicked by Brigham Young to go forth and try to help find a place to settle. And he was kind of held in high regards from everything I've read with Brigham Young. There's even a town named after Benjamin Franklin Stewart called Benjamin, Utah. So this has been fascinating. I found just about a 3-word sentence somewhere I was reading saying that there was a Mormon church in Van Buren County by the Fox River. So this all ties in. It's been so fascinating, because a lot of questions have been answered. I think I finally do have a good understanding why this is called Richardson's Point. Basically, Richardson's owned this piece of ground and the surrounding acres, but between the Richardsons and the Stewarts, I would say there was a good 1,200 acres that they owned, which they're all related. I find that fascinating for the times. So, again, I'd like to thank you for all coming, and do spread the word. Anybody wants to stop, you're more than welcome. If anybody has any questions afterwards or some more information, please grab me and we'll talk. I would like to say we do have a great-great-great-grandson of Edwin Little here, Brian Benson and his wife Heather, wherever you folks are. Thank you for coming. I think it means as much to us as it does to you to be here. So thanks again, everybody, and enjoy your day.